You've collected your points, the first thing you want to do is plug in your Garmin, and you want to check to make sure that the computer's reading it. So I'm going to go into computer, and I see the Garmin is being seen by the desktop, so that's good. Now we're going to launch DNR Garmin, and if I open the application on the computer desktop in the lab, I see this Dnrgps, and this is the executable file or the application. So I'm going to launch the application and run that. And we have an error on the campus computer, so you just go ahead and ignore that. And if I've done this right, I've set up a folder called Lab 5 to start with. And then I'm going to download my waypoints. I'm going to click on waypoints, download, and if you cleared out your unit, you should only have your GPS collection in there. But if not, you should be able to find the date and download those days points. So I'm going to download the waypoints from 2016. Say OK. And so those are all my waypoints. And you can see I have a lot of fields that are empty. So Dnrgps is set up to collect a lot of data that you might collect in your GPS collection, but we didn't. So I've got the data. I'm going to export this or save to a text file. And it doesn't default to text. I just had the text file open. And you can use either comma delimited or tab delimited. And I'm going to put it on the desktop. I'm going to put it in that lab folder. And say save. I'm not going to say save. I'm just going to actually click on save. I'm going to go close that. I'm going to open this up, make sure that the file's in there. Yep. Okay, there they are. So now I can close my Dnrgps. So now ArcGIS Online wants a CSV file. So I'm going to open up Excel, and I'm going to go File, Open, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to choose to be able to see all the files that are on my desktop. So now I can go into my lab folder and I see that text file. So I'm going to open that. Now Excel will let me format this, and so I saved it as delimited. So I used tab delimited, comma delimited should look the same. And I have headers. My top row, I want to keep that row of information because that tells me what each of the columns are. And I'm just going to go next, and it says okay. In tab delimited, this is the way that would import. And yeah, latitude and longitude come in as individual columns, which is what I want. You can scan through and make sure that the data doesn't wrap weird. That all looks good. If I had done comma delimited, I would choose that. And you can see that doesn't work for tab delimited. So when you click next and yours doesn't show up in individual columns, try one of the other options for delimiters and see if you have that. Okay, so that looks good. So I'm going to choose next. At this point, I can say I don't want that column, and I don't want this column, but actually it's a little easier to do it all in Excel. So I'm actually just going to say finish, and my data comes in like this. Okay, so now there's a lot of columns of data I don't want. When you bring in attribute data in a table, you need a header file or a field category, and that's what I have here. So I want to keep my latitude and longitude. I collected in WGS 84, so I don't really need this XY projection file, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete the type for waypoint. I'm going to delete display. I'm going to delete depth, temp, and I'm actually going to go all the way out here and delete all of those. Now, I'm going to name this point, And I'm going to make a field for my diameter. And you cannot have spaces in field names, so I'm going to use an underscore. You could also do camel case, which would be the next word or the next letter would be capitalized. That's appropriate as well. And this one is going to be type. And then I'm going to look at my data collection record and fill this in. Okay, so I have filled in my data, and this will look a little different from the demo, the actual data here. So when you get ready to save this and finish your file, it's a really good idea to make sure that you have highlighted the A1 field. This used to be critical in getting an Excel table into ArcGIS, and so sometimes it doesn't matter anymore, but every once in a while this creates a big problem if you have your highlighted field there. So I always just by habit stick in the A1, and now I'm going to save as a CSV, and I want a comma delimited because this is going into ArcGIS Online. I'm going to save, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to close this, and I've already saved it, so I'm going to say don't save. And when I look in here, I should have my original text file and my CSV file that now can be added into ArcGIS Online.